with him. He got his disciples. He has all those who are ready to announce his coming. However, there's something missing. I hope y'all ain't closed y'all Bibles yet. That's all I know how to preach. I told you he's got his boys with him. He has those who are ready to celebrate him. But there's something missing. What's missing, Pastor Harris? I'm so glad you asked. He needs something to ride on. He needs something to ride on. There's a donkey that he needs. He needs a donkey to ride on. According to Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9, the Bible says that the Messiah, the Son of God, the Liberator, will ride into Jerusalem triumphantly on a donkey. And Jesus had everything else checked off the list. He had his disciples. He had a place that he was going. He had his destiny that he was moving toward. He had everything else. But the one thing that he had need of was a donkey. I need y'all to wake up for a second. A donkey is what he would need in order to fulfill his mission. This assignment would be incomplete if the Lord did not have something to ride on. My brothers and sisters, it's interesting because as we begin to think about this, Jesus uses a donkey. And I wish I had time. If I had time, I would tell you it don't make sense to have the argument whether or not Jesus could use children. It don't make sense to have a conversation to question whether or not he could use women, because the text shows that he's able to use a donkey. Y'all ain't talking back to me. He does not use a horse. The Bible says he uses a donkey. In order to understand this, we have to understand our animals. And he doesn't use a horse, he uses a donkey. A horse was used as a means of war. A donkey was considered a means of peace. A donkey was one of the most common animals of that day. A donkey is known for its stubbornness. Its loud bark can be heard for miles and miles around. Its long ears oftentimes hang over its head and cool the blood in its body. Nobody wanted to fool with donkeys. Donkeys were simple. Donkeys were common animals. Sometimes they were pets, but watch this. Also, sometimes they were used as workers. If you know anything about a donkey, you'll understand that they're blue-collar type of animals. They would hang out in the back. You wouldn't have a donkey and then put him out front. But when Jesus needed something to ride on, to take him to Jerusalem to signify that he was the Son of God, that he is the Messiah, the Bible says he chose a donkey. Y'all gonna make me get happy all by myself. It wasn't just a regular donkey, Sister Macklin. He chose a donkey, the Bible says, that was tied up. I'm feeling my help now. He chose a donkey from a little place called Bethage. This would be the donkey that Jesus would ride on. I want to submit to you that when we look at what a donkey represents, when we look at where it comes from, I'm here to tell you that we have a whole lot more in common than we would like to admit with because the truth of the matter is we can be stubborn from time to time. We can be blue collar from time to time. We can be misunderstood from time to time. And we can be overlooked from time to time. And those are the ones that Jesus is calling in this time in the kingdom. Those who may be a little bit stubborn. Those who might be overlooked. Those who might be blue collar. I'm submitting to you that just like Jesus had need of this donkey, that he has that same need of me and you. Is there anybody else up in here that can just testify, I'm so glad that the Lord has need of me, flaws and all. I can be hard-headed sometimes, but I'm glad that he still needs me. Listen, I can be stubborn sometimes, but he still needs me. Folks can overlook me, but the Lord still has need of me. Wish somebody up in here would just help me and say, I'm glad that he has need of me. I know I don't have it all together. I know I'm not perfect, but the good news about Jesus is that he understands and gives us the privilege of partnering with him in purpose. I'm here to tell you that what we see in the text, when you look at it, that there is no Hosanna for Jesus if he doesn't have a donkey to ride on. That there's no celebration for Jesus if he does not have a donkey to ride on. What was it about this donkey on Palm Sunday? What Jesus makes the invitation, Jesus calls out and has need, does he now send 2 disciples to bring him this donkey? Text is tailored to teach us that just like this donkey, Jesus has need for us. Number 1, to be released, to be reclaimed, and to be ridden in all of our spiritual lives. Okay, I'm going to say that again. He has need for us to be released, reclaimed, and ridden in all of our spiritual lives. What do you mean, Harris? Well, first off, the text shows us that this donkey was restricted. Donkey was restricted. He does this not only for the donkey, but for all of us so that we can be released. Mount Sinai, y'all don't know how to shout. We see that this donkey is tied up. It's restricted. But not only does he free this donkey, but he does it and he releases all of us as well. It's interesting. Notice the instruction of Jesus. He talks to his disciples and he tells 2 of them and sends them out. It's interesting because people have struggled to understand where this city of Bethany really is. Many consider it as a community that is close to Bethany. We all know what Bethany is and what it represented in the life of Jesus. It was the place of rest and a place of refuge. It was where some of his good friends stayed. You know, I know I'm in Bible country. Listen, it was where Lazarus, Mary, and Martha lived. But it came time for him to move into Jerusalem, and he knew what he needed. It was in a place called Bethany. It was an unknown area. It was this unknown area that Jesus sends 2 disciples out, sends them with 1 instruction. He says, go get me the donkey that's tied up. Here's your sign. When you get into this unknown place, this place that a lot of people don't visit, it's real close in proximity to Bethany. In that area, what will signify what I need is that you will see it and it'll be tied up. Y'all ain't talking. Surely, there has to be other donkeys in this area. Surely, this was not the only donkey. But Jesus says, this is how you know the one that you're supposed to get. Jesus didn't give them an address. Jesus didn't tell them what color the house was. He says, when you see the donkey that's tied up, he says, that's the one I want you to bring to me. I love it. Jesus chooses an animal that is not already free. He chooses an animal that the Bible says is restricted. He chooses an animal that has limited mobility. It's limited in how far it can go. The thing that draws these disciples based upon the instruction of Jesus is, I need you to go get me the donkey that cannot move very far, that's still limited, that's still stuck in the same place. It's tied up. It's tied by a rope. It's connected to something that is refusing to let it go. Boy, I'm about to get happy up in here. And I love that about God.